Now, I wanted to talk about a clip that I saw. I'm sure lots of you saw it this week, involving Joe Bird. Now, Joe, are you there?
Yeah. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Now, I've got this clip here that I'd like to show people, and for me, it's an example of bullying that goes on in the Labour Party, and maybe other people would like to talk about this as well as Joe. But I'm just going to show this clip. It's about 5 minutes long, so you have to stick with it. But the point is, to me, it's pretty shocking. So if you could just...
The Labour Party have expelled me for speaking at a meeting 3 years ago and for signing a petition almost 2 years ago. These were organised by Labour Against the Witch Hunt, and Labour banned that organisation only 4 months ago. But the Labour Party has applied retrospective punishment against me and many other people. Because what I did at the time was perfectly legitimate. The Labour Party changed the rules after that, only 4 months ago. But I won't lie to you, I am delighted to have been expelled by the Labour Party. I'm free now from the Labour Party's hostile environment, where Jewish people like me are 31 times more likely to be investigated for talking about the racism that we face. I'm free from the fear of disciplinary action for exercising my human rights of freedom of expression and freedom of association to speak and meet with other people. More than 2,000 people of Bromborough, Port Sunlight and New Ferry re-elected me last May for 4 years with 61% of votes, and I will continue to work for this fantastic community as a local independent councillor. I was elected to promote justice and equality, to protect lives and livelihoods, enhance job services and our environment, and to oppose cruel cuts. My values and work have not changed. The Labour Party has changed from the party that I joined in 2015. It's become nasty, toxic and humorless. The leader of the Labour Party writes in the Sun newspaper, re-traumatising bereaved communities most unnecessarily. And we have seen this evening Labour voting with the Tories. This is an unholy alliance, and it's not going to go well for our council, our workforce, nor our communities. Turning to the fair appointment to committees, it would be fair that my amendment is approved. It would appoint me to the Housing Committee and Pensions Committee. Policy committees like Housing, they make decisions and recommendations that directly affect residents of Bromborough, including about the council's budget. There are 66 places on 6 policy committees and 66 councillors elected by Wirral residents. In addition, there's another 15 places on Policy and Resources Committee. So it would only be fair, reasonable and proportionate to appoint an elected councillor to a policy committee if they want to. And why? Why should one councillor out of 66 be singled out for exclusion from any policy committee? Perhaps that would be from nastiness or something else. Thank you.
Okay. Steve Hawkes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it is a little bit, well, very disappointed that another party has involved itself in seconding such a motion. It can only be for mischievous reasons, one would suspect. However, the Labour Party has rules. People should... Sorry, that was a racist remark. Would you like to remove that? Okay, maybe not. Anyway, so the Labour Party has rules, very strong rules, strict rules, and is going through a period of changing the rules. I think it's incumbent on anyone who is elected as a Labour councillor to stick to those rules and not jeopardise their position as an elected member for the Labour Party. And I remember when other members who felt they couldn't stay within the Labour Party moved to an independent status, and colleagues such as Joe Bird were shouting from the rooftops there should be a by-election because you were elected as a Labour councillor and you stand as a Labour councillor. You are not a Labour councillor, you are an independent. So I suggest that you do the right thing, call a by-election and let's have the people of Bromborough make the decision and elect another Labour councillor or whoever. You may win, I doubt it. And I just want to say, you know, that's the way it is in politics. You conduct yourselves in every manner to try and stay within the Labour Party. That's my motto. Whatever you disagreement with the leadership or whoever, you stay in and you fight for the Labour Party to be a better place. I think it is becoming a better place to be. That's my experience, and it doesn't reflect the scenario that Councillor Bird reflects. So I would ask for a by-election to be called immediately. It's the honourable thing to do.
I'm disappointed that Councillor Bird accuses the Labour Party of being racist. As a member of that party, I'm not racist, and I would hope that she'd reconsider that comment. And just following on from my colleague, Councillor Fawkes, you were elected as a Labour councillor, Joe, and I would like to see you call a by-election. And let's put it to the vote of the individuals who live in that ward that you currently represent. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I'm pleased for you, Joe, if you're delighted to have been expelled from the party. I am pleased that you're delighted. And Pat, I think we've given you a solution. You can give up one of your seats if you want.
Okay.
Thanks. I believe there's been a misunderstanding that I would like to make a personal statement about. It's very short.
I'll allow you, Joe, to make a short, very short reply, please. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, point of order. If that statement refers to any comments or any other members have made in a personal, then we'll all be up all night replying. It's absolute nonsense, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillors have resigned from the Labour Party in recent years and have been allowed to make personal statements too. And that's right, I did call for them to resign as councillors and call a by-election because they resigned from the party they were elected to represent. But I haven't resigned from Labour. I've stuck to the rules of the Labour Party. They changed the rules and applied them retrospectively. The Labour Party expelled me, and Bromborough residents want me to continue as their independent councillor. Thank you.
Thank you. Right. There have been no further speakers. I will move to the vote on the amendment. All those in favour? Easy life, doesn't it? I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I think. 11. Right. All those against?
Obviously, you didn't win that that vote, Joe. But some of the speeches that were made against you were totally unnecessary. And I also have to say that I was very impressed by your courage throughout that, and lots of people showing you solidarity. How does it feel when you're on your own? It's a bit like that film 12 Angry Men or whatever it is. You're on your own and there's all these people sort of picking a fight with you. How did you carry on like that?
Yeah, thanks. Well, my heart was beating fast, but I actually didn't feel like I was on my own. I had supporters behind me. I had the Liberal Democrat and the Green group were also supporting me, and I had you guys in my heart as well. And I know I have hundreds and thousands of people rooting for me and backing me. But it's still on me in the moment as an elected councillor to stand up and make those speeches in the public domain, just as it's on the other Labour councillors, or rather not other, I'm not still adjusting mentally to not being in the Labour Party anymore. It's on the 25 Labour councillors who are there to stand up and say what they want to say. And we saw Councillor Fawkes, who's welcomed and applauded people who've left one party and joined another before, calling for me to resign, contradicting himself in the same sentence. He reminded me of Trump, actually. We saw the leader and deputy leader of the Labour group saying they were happy and smirking about it. We saw another councillor, McManus, saying, I'm not racist, but then voting to exclude me from the committee she chairs and calling for me to resign as a councillor. You couldn't make it up. But this is the hostile environment. This is the witch hunt in full flow. And I am glad to be out of that. But I'm also very sad at what the Labour Party has become, what Labour groups have become, all the work that we did to elect these people. And where are their red lines? If they sit on their hands or they vote in accordance with everybody else like sheep, if they, without protest, if they can't mutter a word to say how wrong they think it is, they're willing to single me out for exclusion from policy, then where are the red lines? What will they stand up and make an issue about? What will they say for justice, for progressive policies, rather than just going along with what they're told because they're following orders, because they're following the whip? We know the resonances this has in history, and what has the Labour Party become? It's a very sad situation, and I'm very sad about that, even though I'm glad to be out of that when it's targeted so much as we can all see.
I mean, the guy who stood up, is that the leader of the council? The guy who spoke first after you were on. He said that the rules, we've got strong rules in the Labour Party, but we're going for a period of changing the rules. I was like, what kind of double speak is that? I mean, how's that a strong rule if you're going for a period of changing the rule? I mean, he actually said that. I mean, it's quite lucky in a sense that we could see that. And that it was filmed, because that probably is going on quite often in other areas of the country. I'd like to bring in Pamela, because I know Pamela's had to speak at council meetings since her expulsion. Pamela, did you identify with what happened there?
Absolutely, I had a very similar experience. So by coincidence, I had put forward a motion about abuse of women in public life, and I was due to present that or put it forward the week after, full council, the week after I had been expelled. So I was feeling quite emotional, but when I went to the council chamber, they had sat me with the Tories, which is awful. So I was on my own. Only 3 councillors came to speak to me. The others ignored me, even though I've worked with them for 8 years. They then rushed through. I was chair of planning committee, and they rushed through a motion to have me removed as chair of planning. There's precedent before. There's been an independent Labour group, and there's been an independent that chaired planning previously. So it's quite vindictive. Now, I found it really upsetting. And I did my speech. I was really pleased because I was worried that I'd become quite upset, but I got through it. And some of them looked embarrassed, but mostly they didn't. And they all voted for it. And it is quite worrying that people are so scared to stand up for what is right. It's quite appalling. So that really left me quite upset, actually, the lack of solidarity of what is absolutely wrong. The only reason I've been expelled, is because I gave an interview to a socialist organisation, and yet they all fall behind. You know, we must ban this person is wrong. And the irony is that while I was ousted with the Tories, some of my Labour colleagues were passing kind of food and things to one another, to the Tories. And then 2 of them pushed past me to talk to their Tory mates. Now, they're the ones that should be on the Tory benches, not me. So absolutely solidarity with Joe. I know what it's like. It's really upsetting. I'm a socialist through and through. I shouldn't be sitting with the Tories, but an awful lot of those people over on the Labour benches should be, because they don't have a socialist bone in their bodies, and they are there purely for career, and they could not care less about what's going on in the community. So I share Joe's kind of sadness about where our party's going, but, you know, we shall get through it.
Joe, look, there's loads of comments and stuff. People are determined that you know that you're loved and there's solidarity, and people are saying I just saw a comment, someone's got a damaged hip, but they'll go and campaign for you. I mean, but I think I can't say that obviously because you're not the official Labour candidate, but and I'm not yet in your position of being out of the party. But there's definitely people who think that you've had a really bad treatment from Labour in nationally and locally. And thank you very much for coming on, and thank you also for sharing that clip, so we could all see how bad it is.